The UEFA Champions League is Europe's most prestigious competition. With the tournament ready to start back in mid-February, I'm here to rank the last 5 Champions League winners and prove who had the best run out of them all. Now, when breaking down best winner of the Champions League over the last 5 years, I have a set criteria. We're going to look at stats, the difficulty of the run, and other successes the team had that season. Because honestly, a lot of their runs are very impressive, and to split them up team by team and to rank them, I think it's also fair that you take into consideration what other things they won. Because, for example, league title, pushing for a league title, pushing for another cup, that plays massively in part into a Champions League run. So without further ado, here's my ranking of the last 5 Champions League winners. Hope you guys enjoy. Before we start the video, please hit the like button down below. Also comment and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're pushing for that goal day by day by day. So it will help massively to the channel if you just hit that subscribe button and leave down below who you think had the best run out of them all. Which one was your favorite? And without further ado, let's get into the video. Now at number 5, we have Chelsea 2020 to 2021. Now, honestly, for some reason I debated this, but this run impressed me a lot, especially looking back at it, because from having Frank Lampard and with hindsight 2020, we can see what kind of manager Frank Lampard has been for Chelsea. But coming off the back of certain players who are now looked at as, well, garbage for Chelsea in terms of the Chelsea tenure. When you look at players like Kai Havertz, like a Timo Werner, when you look at those kinds of players, Mendy, who's not there anymore, when you look at these standout players, these were Mason Mount. You can go on and on, Christian Pulisic. Every single one of these youngsters had their moment in this team. So I think even though this run ranks 5th for me out of the 5, I think is one of the runs I was most impressed with out of them all, honestly, especially looking back on it. The Chelsea team had 23 goals and conceded 4. That's the least amount of goals for a Champions League winning side. 9 clean sheets, just one short of the record held by Arsenal. And that's Edouard Mendy had the most clean sheets for a debut goalkeeper in his first Champions League campaign. So I respect it. And only lost 1 game. And there are teams on this list who've lost 4. Now, you may ask, if that's the case, why does this Chelsea team rank 5th out of the 5? I just think what knocks them down for me is I think they had the easiest run out of the 5, if I'm being quite honest, when they played Sevilla, Krasnodar, Rennes, Atletico Madrid, Porto, Real Madrid and Man City. No, Real Madrid and Man City, yes, you can make the argument for, but Sevilla, Krasnodar, Rennes, Atletico Madrid, Porto, not saying that they're bad teams, but compared to some of the other teams these teams have played, I just can't put Chelsea no higher than honestly 5th. Especially considering the other things, like I said, the other criteria, which is the other success. Chelsea finished 4th in the league that season. Yes, it was a recovery by Thomas Tuchel, who did well coming into the season for Frank Lampard. You must respect it. But at the end of the day, compared to the others, like I said, I just can't put this Chelsea team no higher. But the run itself was very, very impressive. So Chelsea, you sit 5th for me. Now in 4th place, I have Liverpool 2018-19. Now, honestly, this Liverpool team was very, very good. 97 points in the league, 1 shy of Man City, one of the best points tallies of all time, and the best points tally of all time not to win a Premier League title. But this Liverpool team in the Champions League, I think, was all over a team performance. Not only did Liverpool have goals from all over the pitch, I'm talking about they had goals from Mane, Salah, Firmino, the regulars, but Wijnaldum stepped up. Sturridge scored against PSG in the opener. Virgil van Dijk against Bayern. They had big moments from a lot of people. Alisson had a great campaign. Overall, this Liverpool 2018-19 team were a very good overall team led by a great coach with Jurgen Klopp. What they wanted to do, and they did it very, very efficiently. They also have moments in terms of one of the greatest comebacks of all time. I think probably the second or third greatest Champions League comeback of all time. But why would they sit fourth and not higher up? Well, I think what knocked down Liverpool for me was the overall stats and the difficulty of the run. Now, Liverpool were the only team out of the last 5 to finish second in their group, and they only went through on goals scored. They had 4 losses in this Champions League run, more than Chelsea, but I just think as an overall team, I think they were better than Chelsea. This is why they sit above Chelsea in the rankings. Let's get deeper into their stats. Liverpool had 24 goals with 6 clean sheets and 12 goals conceded. Now, that's not bad, but if we're being honest, compared to the teams above them, again, I just can't put Liverpool any higher than where they sit. Especially with the teams that I'm about to name, and especially the team at number 3. Again, not a bad run, not a bad team. I just think that overall, where they sit is where they sit based on the others that they're going up against. So Liverpool, 18-19, number 4. In third place, I have Real Madrid from 2021 to 2022. Now, for a lot of people, this may rank, if not second. Some people may rank this first. I have this run third. Now, during this run, I'd say this is the Real Madrid side over the last 5 years who have had probably the most difficult run out of all 5. I will say that. Yes, they did lose to Sheriff, who at the time were the worst team on the ranking in the Champions League. But when you look at the teams they went up against in the knockout round, down to Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, down by 2 goals, and in 30 minutes, they wiped out that deficit. They beat PSG. Then they put Chelsea to the sword. Then they come back, nearly bottle it, but they ride it out, they stay firm. Then everyone remembers that magical semi-final against Man City, who, even though City battered them in the first leg, they held in there for 4-3, took it back home, and eventually beat City with 2 magical goals in a minute by Rodrigo, one by outstanding Modric, Travella, and Benzema with his inevitable goal during this knockout tie. Now, I haven't even mentioned Karim Benzema. 15 goals and 2 assists with 2 hat-tricks, and the 4th player in Champions League history to have consecutive hat-tricks in consecutive Champions League games. Now, I will say, Benzema and Vini dominated this run with massive help from the back line, and especially Thibaut Courtois. You can't doubt it. This run was very impressive, probably one of the most entertaining runs within the last 5 years. But they have to sit third for me. Now, you may ask why. Now, when I look at the loss to Sheriff, and I look at PSG having them out, and I look at Chelsea having them out, and I look at Man City having them out, as a team, yes, they were very good, but there were times in this run where Real Madrid looked very shaky, but still credit to them. 29 goals and 14 conceded. And if you look at it, 19 of them, if we're talking about direct just goals scored, 19 of them were scored by either Vinicius or Benzema. That's over 50 something percent. That's a high percentage. So they were carried a lot by that talismanic duo. But I have to just give it to them. They can't go any higher than the teams I have placed above them on the list. I'm just sorry. They can't rank above that. They're a great team with a great run who did why they rank so high also in this list, because Ancelotti came in and got them a league title as well to go along with their Champions League. But even though it was a very impressive run, there were still moments, especially in the final, where if it wasn't for Courtois standing on his head, we could talk about another Liverpool Champions League title instead of a Real Madrid Champions League title. We could be talking about if City put away their chances a different time. We could, if Mbappe took his chances, or if Messi took his chances, or if Neymar took his chances, or if Chelsea got the job done, we could be talking about a whole different run, but we're not. And it was a great run from Real Madrid, but I just think overall, to put them any higher than third with the teams I have, it just won't do. I just can't put them no higher than third. But it was a very great run. And a shout out to Benzema, because Benzema had a spectacular campaign, and is the reason why he won the Ballon d'Or. Second on the list, I have last season's Champions League winners, Manchester City, from the 2022-2023 season. No. Not only was his team treble winners, I'm sure everyone remembers, I don't need to go over that, but Man City had 32 goals and only 5 conceded. Just 1 goal off the record for the least amount of goals conceded by a Champions League winning team. They had 8 clean sheets, which was tied at the time, the most clean sheets. One of the most clean sheets ever in tournament history, definitely up there, just behind the Chelsea team with 9 and just behind Arsenal from those years prior. And of only 11 teams in Champions League history to win the UEFA Champions League without a single defeat. So to achieve a feat like that, Manchester City have to be rated within the top 2. Also looking at their success, also looking at some of the stuff they achieved during this run. Now, you may ask, with Haaland this season who top scored, with De Bruyne this season who top assisted, why don't they sit first? And I just say because the team at number 1 just is better, I think, as a team. I just think the team at number 1 is better. But this Man City team, I think, had not only the second most difficult run, I think they had the second best stats, and I think they had second best success. Or arguably the first best success. It's definitely harder to win the Premier League than it is for the other team. I'm sure everybody has figured out who it is by now. It's definitely harder to win the FA Cup than the other cup. But, make an argument for Man City. And I can see why people will have them first. And I can see why you have them second. But to have this Manchester City team any lower than that, is boggling to me, to say the least. Probably one of the better sides I've seen in a long time. And not only that, but they had to overcome a lot of adversity. Arsenal had them for a long time in the Premier League race. We weren't sure about them. We had our doubts, especially after what happened in the year prior with the Real Madrid collapse. They put that to bed, and I think that was one of the major moments as to why this City team ranked so highly for me. That second leg performance in the semis against Real Madrid was probably the most comprehensive performances I've seen a team put on Real Madrid in a long time, especially in the Champions League. It wasn't just a one-off game. They did it against Bayern. They did it against Leipzig, where Haaland put 5 against them. This season, Manchester City were just dominant in the Champions League, and you can't deny them. You cannot deny them. And it wasn't like they had an easy run either. They had a difficult run there. They played against Dortmund. They played against Sevilla. They put them teams to the sword. They put Bayern to the sword. They put Leipzig to the sword. They put Real Madrid to the sword. And they put Inter to the sword when they had to in the final. So I think with all those things said, I think the case for City being number 2 or number 1 could be made. But for my list, this City team has to finish second. Now, top of this list, I have FC Bayern from the 2019-20 season. Now, drawn in a group against Spurs, Olympiacos, and Red Star, they not only demolished the group, but they won every single game, failing to score 3 or more goals in only one game, and that was a 2-0 victory at home versus Olympiacos. They beat Spurs 7-2 and 3-1, and they beat Red Star 6-0 away from home, in a standout group scoring 24 goals, which was one shy of the record behind PSG from the 17-18 season. They changed their coach mid-season, and they beat Chelsea 7-1 on aggregate en route to where they played quarters and onwards, until the asterisk came. Now, a lot of people have an asterisk on this season due to it being not only one-legged knockout affairs from the quarterfinals onward, but with the pandemic, there were no fans in attendance. And I think that played a massive part into a lot of it. But even before then, you see some of the scorelines this Bayern Munich team was putting up on people. They were inevitable. This team was inevitable. They look at what they did after that. They beat Barcelona 8-2 in one game. 8-2. Probably one of the most embarrassing losses ever in Champions League history. But probably one of the most impressive when you look at it with a Bayern Munich lens on it. They then go on after that and beat Lyon 3-0. They then go on to beat Neymar, Mbappe, and PSG in the final 1-0, led by Kingsley Coman's goal. Now, we haven't even gone in to talk about Robert Lewandowski, who had 10 goals in the group stage, just short of Ronaldo's record of 11, and 15 goals overall. And the only players in Champions League history to have 15 or more goals in the Champions League campaign is Ronaldo, who done it 3 times, and Karim Benzema, other than Lewandowski. So it was a very, very impressive campaign. In this season, they scored 43 goals, 2 shy of the overall record. set by Barcelona in the 90s, who had won more games to play, and this team played 2 less games. So if they played really 13 games, which is the standard in the Champions League, they would have probably blown the record away. Almost definitely blown the record away. You cannot deny that. And they won the treble. They won their treble, and they won the sextuple. The only team on the continent to do so, next to Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. Wherever way you look, this Bayern Munich side has stamped it on this competition. No more so than being the only team in Champions League history to win the trophy without losing a single game, but winning every single game on top of that. The only team to win every single game en route to a Champions League title. Now that is very, very impressive. No wonder what asterisk fans inside the grounds or not, you have to respect it. Give Bayern their credit. This Bayern Munich side, watching them play and knowing going up against them, it was probably one of the most fiercest teams you are ever going to face in the competition. A very dominant side over the last 5 years, and that's why they just sit top for me. I think their sheer dominance, bro, and the records that they set on their route to getting the title made them sit unanimously top for me. I think the number 1 spot was always going to go to this Bayern side, because if you remember this Bayern side, then you know what this Bayern side was like. You guys can let me know in the comments below if you think my ranking is a bit too high for this team, because I do see the argument for the pandemic and the no fans and the one-legged ties. But if you look at some of these scorelines they're putting up on teams, those are 2-legged scores regardless. So it does, like for example, the 8-2 against Barcelona, they didn't need a second leg. The 3-0 against Lyon, they didn't need a second leg. It would probably even been worse. They would have just helped them break the record. But wherever way you scratch it, the Bayern Munich 2019-20 side has to be the best Champions League winning side within the last 5 years. Now, alright people, thank you guys for watching the video. Thank you guys for staying with me and rocking with me. And if you stayed to the end, leave down below who do you think is the best within these 5. Now, I made the arguments for some. I made the arguments of who can go where, of who should go where. But you guys obviously are going to have your opinions. And I know this is going to start a lot of debate. So do feel free to leave your opinions down below. But just to finally wrap it up, I'll give you all my list one more time. I have Chelsea 2020-2021 at 5th. I have Liverpool 2018-19 at 4th. I have Real Madrid 2021-2022 in 3rd. I have Manchester City's treble-winning team from 2022-2023. And then I have Bayern Munich's sextuple side from 1920 as the first team. So, like I said, leave down below what you guys think. And yeah, next video coming soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000. Let's get it. Thank you all for watching.